This morning, you probably cracked one open without thinking twice. White shell, yellow center, into the pan. It felt like the most normal thing in the world. But here's the strange part. That egg came from exactly one bird. Out of the 10,000 bird species on this planet, you eat eggs from basically one of them. Ducks lay eggs, geese lay eggs, quail, turkeys, even ostriches lay eggs. And for most of human history, people ate all of them. Ancient hunters climbed cliffs for gull eggs. Ancient Romans cracked open peacock eggs at dinner parties. Somewhere along the way, one bird quietly won. And once you see how it won, you'll never look at your breakfast the same way again. Most people assume it's because chicken eggs just taste the best. That's not it. The real answer is about something much older, much colder, and much more calculated than taste. Stay till the end because the last part of this story is about a choice your own ancestors didn't even know they were making for you. Let's go back further than you'd expect. Humans were eating eggs long before humans were even human. Scientists studying ancient teeth say our ancestors were raiding nests millions of years before anyone learned to cook meat. Back then, there were no chickens to raid. Chickens hadn't been invented yet, not the way we know them. So what were people eating instead? Ostrich eggs. One ostrich egg holds the same amount as about 2 dozen chicken eggs. Archaeologist Beatrice DeMarchi has pointed out something that seems obvious once you hear it. An ostrich egg is basically a lunchbox that lasts for weeks. No fridge required. At a rock shelter in South Africa, researchers found cooking sites soaked in ostrich eggshell fragments dating back 60,000 years. 60,000 years of humans deciding an angry ostrich was a risk worth taking for breakfast. So if ostrich eggs were already working, why didn't they win? Here's where it gets interesting. Ostriches are massive. They're dangerous. They don't exactly fit in a backyard. You can't tuck one under your arm and walk it home. Humans needed something smaller, something calmer, something that didn't require an act of bravery every morning. That search leads to Southeast Asia, somewhere around 3,500 years ago. There, a wild bird called the red junglefowl was hanging around human rice fields, picking up spilled grain and stray insects. It wasn't hunted. It basically invited itself in. Slowly, without any grand plan, that wandering forest bird became the chicken. And the chicken had something almost no other bird could offer. Here's what's fascinating. Most wild birds lay a small clutch of eggs once a year, then stop. Their bodies are wired for survival, not surplus. But something in the chicken's biology broke that rule. Take away her eggs, and instead of quitting for the season, a hen just lays another one, and another. Scientists studying poultry biology describe it almost like a broken thermostat that never shuts off. A duck might give you 60 eggs a year if you're lucky. A modern hen can give you over 300. That's not a small advantage. That's an entirely different category of animal. So picture two ancient farmers side by side. One raises geese, one raises chickens. The goose farmer gets a modest seasonal trickle of eggs. The chicken farmer gets a steady flood, month after month, almost year-round. Which farmer do you think fed his village? Which farmer's grandchildren kept the birds going? This is where economics quietly picks a winner, long before anyone votes on flavor. But that's only half the story. Chickens didn't just lay more, they asked for less. A chicken will eat almost anything. Bugs, scraps, weeds, leftover grain. It doesn't need a lake like a duck. It doesn't need to migrate like a goose. It's small enough to keep in a coop the size of a closet. And it's the right size to eat too, once its egg-laying slows down, without wasting half a carcass like you would with a giant bird. Every single trait stacked in the same direction. Cheap to feed, easy to house, fast to reproduce. Endlessly productive. It's almost unfair how perfectly one accidental farmyard bird checked every box. But then history adds one more twist. Around 800 BCE, chickens finally reached Italy. Even then, people weren't rushing to eat them. For centuries, the chicken was treated as something exotic, even sacred. More of a curiosity than food. The eggs you scramble today would have looked completely foreign to most people living before the time of Jesus. It took hundreds of years for that reputation to fade, and for the egg to become an everyday thing rather than a strange import. So what finally killed off duck eggs and goose eggs and gull eggs as the mainstream choice? It wasn't a decision. It wasn't a vote. Nobody woke up and banned other birds. It was thousands of small, practical choices, repeated for centuries, each one nudging in the exact same direction. Feed the bird that costs less, raise the bird that lays more, keep the bird that fits in your yard, multiply that choice across a few hundred generations, and you don't get variety. You get a monopoly. And it might be the strangest part of all. Once large-scale farming showed up, that monopoly only got tighter. Selective breeding pushed hens to lay even more, even faster, even cheaper. Duck eggs never disappeared completely. In parts of China and Vietnam, they're still prized for their richer, deeper flavor. But globally, they became the rare exception. The chicken egg became the default. So the next time you crack one open, you're not just making breakfast. You're holding the end result of a contest that ran for thousands of years between dozens of birds, decided almost entirely by which animal demanded the least and gave back the most. The ostrich lost because it was too big to tame. The goose lost because it was too slow to multiply. The duck lost because it needed water most farms didn't have. The chicken won because it needed almost nothing at all. Nobody chose that on purpose. Generation after generation just kept picking the easy option without ever realizing they were writing the rules for every kitchen on Earth thousands of years later. And that's the part that should sit with you. Your breakfast wasn't decided by taste. It wasn't decided by nutrition. It was decided by convenience. Quietly. Over and over until convenience became tradition and tradition became the only option left on the shelf. Somewhere out there, a duck egg or a goose egg might have tasted just as good. You'll probably never know. Because thousands of years ago, one small, unremarkable bird from a rice field simply refused to stop laying, and you're still eating the result of that every single morning without ever asking why.